Fear has never produced champions. Fear is not the way to take territories. Fear is not what puts you ahead. Fear was not what helped Steve Jobs in founding Apple. Fear is not what helped the entrepreneur in your city to come up with an innovative idea. Fear is always there. Fear has a way of, rearing its ugly head. It just pierces its head. But here it is. Great men tame their fear by not paying attention to those fears. And what is the easiest way for you not to pay attention to your fears? By the story you tell yourself. The identity theme, the identity narrative, the identity picture you carry in your heart. You see, the blueprints you carry in your heart forms your identity. And there are different ways via which, we come up with our identity theme. At the end of the day, fundamentally so, the identity theme that has a foundation of God is the winning identity. So the identity theme that you fill your heart with is the identity theme that will help you to switch the story of fear, switch it from fear to courage. Can you see that? The great entrepreneurs in our world, people like J.C. Penney, founder of the J.C. Penney stores, people like Sam Walton, founder of the Walmart range of stores. These were men who founded their identities on the narrative of God. They founded their identities on the narrative of the capabilities of God. They knew that their own abilities were limited, but they knew that there was a greater God who operated within them. That was also my story years ago when I was beaten and battered by the ugly winds of life, pummeled to a corner. I fought back. I changed the narrative in my mind. I reminded myself constantly that a greater one lives in me. That greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I reminded myself that God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That God is a loving God. That his love nature dominates me. Now, because of the fact that I saw God as a loving God, I would run towards him. I would, pour out my heart to him, pour out my worries to him, pour out my fears to him. And in the midst of all of that, he will speak a word that will pump my feet up, inspire me to greater heights. And that way I'm able to rise up the next day to step out again. In your own life, you must form the habit of changing the blueprint in your heart, the story in your heart, the narrative in your heart, the identity theme in your heart. When you do that, you will realize why Jesus said, "The Father who dwelleth within me doeth the works." You will remember why Paul said, "I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me." You won't be surprised why Peter said, "But you are a chosen generation." Those were narratives, those were identity themes that have godly foundations. And that is why I say to you, tame that fear today with a godly identity, with a godly blueprint, with a godly narrative. That is the way champions do it in the school of advancement.